Hey, beautiful.
Hi, how are you? I am putting on makeup. We're going to do makeup together while we're interviewing.
Hey, too, those boxes are gorgeous.
You know what? I'm really having fun with those. It's a lot of fun. I've got I need to go up to the garage because I've got more boxes up there, and I have more dragons, so I need more dragon boxes.
How do I make this where it's just... Yeah, I don't usually wear makeup, so...
It looks good on you.
You always look gorgeous.
You're sweet to say it. Yeah, I mean, we can do the actual interview. I don't mind if I'm putting on makeup. It's okay.
Oh,
unless you
okay.
Do that. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, or evening, actually, depending on where you're located, or even morning, depending on where you're located. Welcome to our first actual video poetry podcast. So if you're hearing this on the Spotify, then you should definitely go check it out on YouTube, because it's actually on video. So not only do you get to hear this amazing creative poet, but you can see her as well. So thank you all for joining us, and we have special guest Whisper Poet in the house. Thank you so much for joining. We're very honored to have you today. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I am happy to be here. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Stupid Cupid.
Oh, that's catchy. Love it. Stupid Cupid. Ha ha. Because he didn't come see me. Not in the right time anyway. Or he hit the wrong guy, and that's why I'm single now. I don't know.
I woke up this morning just, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning, and had a line of poetry in my head. So I got out of bed and went out to my desk and wrote it down. And, you know, I was trying to transcribe it later, and it's like that stream of consciousness writing where you're like, is that my handwriting? Like, did I do that? But yes, I actually did a Stupid Cupid poem. Well, it's not really. Yeah, it is kind of Stupid Cupid.
I love it. So do you have a piece of truth that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, I can read that one. If I can read my handwriting, my delivery on this will probably not be smooth. You know, stream of consciousness, chicken scratch. I mean, it's literally like, you know.
That's why I've gotten to where I type most of mine anymore, because then I read it later and I'm like,
what was that? All right. Good morning, February 14th. Is this the new timeline? Instagram said would unfold. I stepped out of my bedroom into a vortex. I could hear the noise from the other side of the wormhole. Is that a cosmic shift, or is it white noise from my daughter's bedroom? Because sometimes the ceiling fan and the air conditioner sound like the ocean, but I've never once woken up with sand in my toes. So I'm just questioning my reality. I feel like I got to get a grip. My medical file said diagnosis bipolar when I strolled through that MyChart app shit. How come nobody told me? I know they take that HIPAA stuff seriously, but you'd think they know they wouldn't need to HIPAA with me. I'm not going to sue unless some other personality steps up and says, yoo-hoo, and maybe that's what's been going on. I've been mainlining Yellowstone reels and channeling Beth Dutton, so you tell me which side my biscuit is buttered on. What I know is this. In the end, the DSM-5 page number doesn't matter when it comes to figuring out how to get my house uncluttered. I offer you a spot on my couch, but as you can see, my wardrobe decided to come out of the closet and shed the box it's been living in. There's a clear spot just there on the floor between the stack of newspapers and the bathrobes I've been planning to take to the laundromat for 2 weeks or more, because my washing machine has incurable entropy, and it can't take a big load anymore. It just bangs down in the spin cycle, chugs to a stop, and says, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't have that option. And my life is easily My life is not easily debrided with a little CLR, but it's February 14th and Saturn moved into Pisces. So the world better be different when I step out that front door. Stream of consciousness.
I absolutely love that. Especially when you first wake up at what? That was very talented and insightful. Absolutely amazing.
The line that I literally woke up out of sleep with was channeling Beth Dutton. That was the line that like started the whole enchilada.
Love it. That's very inspiring. So, our viewers would like to know more about the Amazing Whisper Poet. How long have you been writing?
I started writing in 2019 in the aftermath of the breakup of my marriage. Writing became a way to just release what I was going through. And the first poem that I wrote came out of nowhere. I was at my job. I was sitting at my desk at my job, and this little like 4-line poem popped into my head, and it was very insistent. It was very insistent noise, and so I just like wrote it down on a little scrap piece of paper, and then another one came, and I wrote it down on a scrap piece of paper, and before I knew it, I had a bit of a collection of scrap pieces of paper, and I said, if I'm going to keep doing this, I probably ought to write this down. So I went to Staples and got one of those composition books, the ones that are like the black and white sort of staticky screen look to them. I got one of those, and I spent that summer like just filling it up. I probably wrote like close to 100 poems that summer. And, it's the way your first poetry is. It's, it has a certain cadence and character to it that's, sort of like new poet poetry. But it was very raw. It was very unfiltered. And, it became an absolute coping mechanism. And I'm so grateful that occurred because a lot of amazing things that have happened in my life since then have happened from being a part of the poetry community. And that never would have happened if I had not written that first poem.
Well, we are very glad that you did and very honored to be able to hear your amazing words because you are very talented at it. And I'm so glad that you continued on with it.
Thank you. I was trying to remember the 4 lines. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. Let me grab it.
I can't remember what my very first poem was. I was 10 when I started writing. And I didn't think to date them back then.
I don't know if you can you hear me when I go off camera? You can't with TikTok, can you? Right?
No.
Well, it says renting space in my head that is not free. Something. I made it so easy, but that ends now. I'm reclaiming me. The original was 4 lines, and then along the way, I added in some extra lines. But those first 2 lines, renting space in my head, that is not free. Those 2 lines like came out of me like the force of a cannon. They just came out of me with such ferocity. I just remember writing those down and just feeling like ferocious about it. I wrote them in capital letters because I was just feeling that just massive intensity, of it. So. Well,
I am glad that you found those words. the trauma and things that you went through in life. I hate that those were there, but they definitely made you a very strong person. I mean, you're an inspiration to others around you. You always give out a positive light and, healing vibes and make others feel welcome and cared about and heard. I know even just like yesterday, especially for people who are single, sometimes you feel really alone. Even when you have friends, like, that they care. And if you reach out, they're going to talk to you. But my heart melted with tears of joy and warmth yesterday when you reached out and said, hey, I thought of you. The universe made me think of you today. And it was just like, somebody thought of me.
It's funny because right after I sent that, I thought, because you know that I read cards, and I thought, oh gosh, she's gonna worry that I somehow had a terrible message, and be like freaking out, like, and it wasn't that at all. It was just, like I was telling you, when I was going through the boxes, I picked up that one box and I just had this, you flashed in my mind, and I was like, I'm supposed to make a box for her. So yeah.
Well, that's very sweet. So what does the future hold for Whisper Poets? I know that you've got some amazing things going on that the audience would love and needs to hear about.
Well, I do have some really cool stuff happening, actually. I have an interview show as well. It's called The Heart of the Artist, and I had that on hiatus for about 2 years and have just recently started that show back up. It is once a month on the last Saturday of the month at 4 p.m. Eastern. And on February 28th, I'm going to be interviewing musician Iron Orchid, who is an absolutely amazing boss female. I cannot wait to interview her. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we do those on Zoom, and then they get uploaded to YouTube. But if anybody wants to keep track of my feed, I'm going to have the poster for that show up here tonight. So I have that going on. I'm going to be starting a DJ show on the J Shine Radio Network. And Pam has given me her spot. I don't think she really wants to be up at, 7 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Right.
It's like, hey, y'all, I want to do a show. And Pam was like, you can have my spot. I'm like, okay. So I'm going to be doing the Sunday morning radio show, but I'm planning to call it Jukebox Juice, which I don't know why that amuses me so deeply, but for some reason that name just really tickles my funny bone. So I'm looking forward to that. I have multiple manuscripts that I'm working on. I've always got multiple manuscripts that I'm working on. My newest in-process manuscript is called Exporting Explosives, Lessons in Love Bombing and Other Traumas. And it is going to be a manuscript of my essays, because I also write prose in addition to poetry. And I love that space, and I call them essays, but it's that space where it's kind of too long and too narrative to really be a poem, but it's also not like a book. It's like a nice little sandwich size serving of prose on a single topic. And so I call those essays. So I have quite a few of those and have been putting those into the framework of this new book. So got that going on. What else do I have going on? Oh gosh, I don't even know. Life. I'm a new aunt. My sister had her baby yesterday, so I'm an aunt again.
Congratulations.
So good stuff. All good stuff.
Wait a minute. I know you're missing out on something that's like extremely. There's a.
What have I missed?
An anthology.
Oh, yeah, I did forget about that. Yes. So, okay. I wrote a poem in October of 2024, about Hurricane Helene and how it impacted the people of Western North Carolina. And I submitted that poem to an anthology called Improvs in Black and White. And it was an anthology of ekphrastic poems, which is where you pair your poem with an image that represents what's going on in the poem. And as it so happened, I had taken a photograph years ago of a hawk flying above some trees at my parents' place, my dad and my stepmom's place. So I had that photo. So when the opportunity came up to submit to the anthology, and I saw, you're supposed to have a photograph, the poem is called What the Hawk Saw. And so I immediately was like, oh, I have that picture, So I submitted it, and the publisher chose my poem along with, I believe it's 2 others. I think every publisher wants to participate, submits 3 poems from their anthology. But my poem and 2 others were submitted to the Pushcart Prize. So I am a Pushcart nominated poet. And I will find out, I guess, in April timeframe, whether or not the Pushcart committee chooses What the Hawk Saw to be included in their anthology, because that's what they do every year with the Pushcart nominations. They go through and they choose the best of those, and they create their own anthology. So just to be nominated is amazing, but if my poem could be included in that Pushcart publication, that would be absolutely wonderful as well. So,
well, congratulations. It's definitely deserved and earned. And where can our listeners find the amazing work of Whisper Poet?
Well, I, like I said, I do have that poem published in that anthology. It's available on Amazon, and it's also, it's done by PGN Publishing, and they have their own website as well. I have a couple of poems in different anthologies, and I cannot recall. I need to update that. I need to have a list of those things. So put that on my list of things to do. But mainly just my TikTok profile and my Instagram profile, both of which are whisper_poet. I'll make poetry videos from time to time and, read, perform the poems in the videos, set them to music, have video clips and stuff. That is a fraction of the poetry that I actually write, which is another reason why I need to get my stuff together and actually publish a book.
Well, I definitely would want to buy it first thing if you did. Definitely going to have to check out those anthologies that have your work in them as well. So on my website, actually, my apologies, you all will be able to have a direct link that whenever you click when you're watching the interview, there will be a link that will take you to Whisper's profile so you can see some of her amazing stuff. So, who is your biggest inspiration now?
I don't think that I have just one inspiration. For me, what has been so powerful is to move into the poetry community, which for me started out on Instagram and then later evolved to include the poets of TikTok. But to be in poetry space and to be a part of the way the poet community moves. Charlotte is a really vibrant and well-respected poetry community nationwide. And the people who are in that community themselves are very well respected. And so I had the huge fortune to enter the poetry community, to be surrounded by people who are well known across the country and in some cases, internationally, and to learn, and you never stop learning. So it's not like I've stopped, but to start learning this craft from people who are masters at this, and I'm so incredibly blessed. And the thing that always strikes me about the poetry community is the instance of community service that takes place. As humans, poets, I think, are largely focused on helping the world be a better place. There's a high correspondence of social activism and being a poet. Some people would say it's a responsibility. If you're going to write, you almost have that responsibility to carry that sword. But however or whatever you classify it, there's definitely a high instance of people who are in service to the community. And that has been a beautiful thing to see that happening, to watch what people are doing, to see how they're engaging, to see the good things they're making happen, and to be able to take part in some of those things myself. So the entire poetry community is my inspiration. Just watching how everybody loves and supports each other and encourages each other. It's the way the whole world should be. And I'm glad that we're out here on social media, loving each other and talking about making the world a better place, for everybody to take part in. We got to spread the love. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, so we have to counter it with all the love that we can.
I'm not good at that, but yeah. Absolutely. So, what do you do in your free time? Like outside of the writer, who is Whisper Poet?
I think I have free time. No.
Right.
I have like way too many hobbies. Like way too many hobbies. So like right now I have jewelry making stuff spread out in one room with essential oils in that same room. And then out here in the living room, I've been painting those boxes, and I also did a painting. So there's paint stuff spread out too. Yeah, I have way too many. Too many I also love photography. I love taking pictures and that's a lot. I like to cook, although I guess, I don't know, cooking is more like a necessity of life, but I do love to cook. That's fun. So yeah, I guess just creative stuff, chasing my cats. I'm my cat's butler, so that's a hobby. Let them in, let them out, let them in, let them out.
Do you have anything that you would like to tell your listeners today, or any words of encouragement or hope for people who are wanting to, embrace their voice or write?
Well, it's one of the things that I absolutely think is so amazing about poetry. I mean, all of the arts are amazing, and I would never discourage anyone from pursuing an interest in the arts, whether it is painting, sketching, music, whatever it is. If that's what fascinates you, then pursue it. But the great thing about poetry is you don't have to have anything special. All you need is a pencil and a piece of paper, or just, your phone, and you can record it with your voice. But if you can string some words together, you're a poet. You just speak your truth. That's all you have to do, is speak your truth. It doesn't matter if it rhymes. It doesn't matter if it's a certain number of words, or a certain number of lines, or a certain number of... It doesn't matter. You just speak your truth and put it out there and share it. That's it.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Utilitarian of the arts, in my opinion.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we close out today?
Well, there's a lot going on in the world. On January 26th, the planet Neptune moved out of Pisces into the sign of Aries. And then yesterday, the sign of Saturn moved out of the Pisces into the sign of Aries. And on February 20th, which is actually my birthday, those two signs will be completely conjunct. And that is the first time that has happened in recorded history. So it is a big thing from a planetary perspective, but it's also a big thing from the energy of the world, the sort of collective viewpoint of there's just a lot going on. And we just need to love each other. We need to love each other, and we need to support each other and find a way to be peaceful toward each other and put aside enmity, put aside anger, put aside hate, put aside misunderstanding, and just embrace each other. If we can find a way to do that, amazing things will happen.
Absolutely. Love it. Very powerful words. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm honored, and I'm sure that the guests are completely intrigued and ready to go find more Whisper, because it is addictive. Thank you all so much for joining in. And so thank you all very much for joining, and I hope that you have a blessed and wonderful Saturday. Bye.